I just wanted to do a quick little video. I have been charting my mica watercolors by Karen or Indigo GB. I'll tag it. It's going to be tagged in my new chart book. And I just wanted to show you my process and results. First, I'm going to mention that behind the bug page is a pretty thick sheet of protective plastic that I use, and then I hold in place. And I have one on the chart side, and these sheets came from my other Ruby Charm Colors Artist Edition books that I bought off of her Etsy. I wanted to show you whether or not I'm getting bleed through for the thickness of the page. I get so perturbed by people complaining about paper not having bleed through with markers and paints. I'm like, it's paper, people, so you have to be careful. So I'm going to show you how I'm careful. One, I love these paints, and so I wanted to put them here so I could also play with this bug as a chart, because I really hate wasting even a molecule of these amazing micas. And so I don't mind that I might lose this page. I may or may not use this page, but I plan that as I'm laying out my book. So also Susan's going to, have some artist editions. They're going to be much more expensive than this book that you buy off of Amazon, because it is going to have a thicker paper. It's going to be handmade. It's going to be spiral bound. And so, dollars and cents matter with paper. And so when we have regular books and regular coloring books, your markers are going to bleed through, your water paints are going to bleed through, and giving an artist a bad review on the facts of paper it's just perturbing to me, because that's just the way paper works. It absorbs markers, it absorbs paint. So I'll get off that little irksome thing. So here I have a pipette. It's just a little plastic tool that they use for all kinds of things that I got off of Amazon. And I have my dirty water and my clean water. And with the pipette, I have a lot of control over how much water I add to my paints. And if you see here, I have two colors left, my plum and my Neptune. And so what I do is I get a little water in my pipette, and I come over to my paint. Let me let it focus. And I squeeze one little drop like this. And then I take my brush and I get a little bit of water into my brush, and I even blot that so I don't have too much, because I'm not going to need a lot of paint to paint this square. And so here we go, as I grab my color, just get enough on my brush, and I come over here. And by using the pipette, I have been able to successfully control how much water I hit my paper with. And so I can have the results that I want with my paper and not have an excessive amount of bleed through. And different books, different papers can handle a different amount of water. So it's your job as an artist to control how much water you hit your paper with. I know even the great Joanna Basford has said that her books, she does not recommend water. They're not designed for water, but you see tons of artists use water in her books. And you make a choice. You make a choice. Do you sacrifice the page that it's going to bleed through to and know that you're not going to color that page? Or do you use some type of sealant, so that your product doesn't go through? Do you control your water? There's a lot of options, but to me, the option to complain and blame the artist and give them bad reviews because paper does not handle markers and water is just beyond me. It's beyond me. I just think, stop complaining. There's way bigger things going on in the universe. And that's just my soapbox thing. I've got a little soapbox going on in this video, and I'm sorry, but it just keeps coming up, and I don't understand the negativity. You know, to me, I'm like, let's support our artists, let's, you know, have fun, and water and paper, just basic science, and no paper is waterproof. If you get a book wet, it's gonna soak up the water. So anyway, as you can see, this is my how to control water process, and it works very well for me. I have very little bleed through, even on paper that people complain a lot about, which is this Create Space paper by Amazon. But I don't have anything to complain about. I have worked on in other books that are supposedly, you know, much better paper, but their paper will absorb the water super fast, and I'll curl up and get these little balls of paper. Whereas the Create Space paper may be thinner, but it is darn tough. And I find that it's really strong, and as it dries, you'll see way less bleed through. And in addition to that, it just doesn't tear easily. It's interesting that it can be a thinner paper and yet also have a nice strength to it. So, and I find that every artist's publishers use different paper, and so I use different tools and with different artists and different books. So I just think, drop the negativity and just be smart about what you do, and understand the nature of the interaction of paper and markers and paint and water, and set your expectations to a reasonable place. So look at that. I think it looks great. I love that color. If anybody wants to know, that particular color that I'm playing with right now is plum. So anyway, I love these paints. I love this book. I wish it would go in focus. Look at that shine. These mica paints by Karen are just to die for. Love them. I'm going to finish my bug, and I hope you all have a great week despite all of the things that everyone is facing. We all are facing stuff right now, and let's keep our coloring world positive and fabulous.